Hi friends, David here from Learn Stage Lighting, and today I want to talk about lighting console setup for the generic corporate event. So if you work in lighting and you're lighting any show that's not like a band on a stage, anything that's not so-and-so band performing, you may have elements of a corporate event in your show. Now, for a good number of years, corporate events were really my bread and butter. They were the kind of gigs that I was doing and earning my entire living from. And I figured out that a lot of them are actually really similar. Okay, and so in this video, I want to talk to you about how to set up your console for these types of events where you've got presenters on stage and then you also might have live music, okay? And we'll talk a little bit about how to fuse those together. What I'm not going to talk about is lighting for the camera and console setup. That will be in the next video. When it comes to lighting a corporate event, most often, if it's a small corporate event, you get a console with 10 faders on it or less, maybe just a screen, and so we're really going to focus on that. If you have additional faders, that's great, but it's not normal. However, you typically have a page of buttons, which this paper represents. Okay, I wanted to have a MIDI controller here with a bunch of buttons on it. It didn't arrive in time. That's that. All right. So what do we start with in a corporate event when it comes to lighting? Well, I've got a couple things that I do that I lay out at the start of every event. Okay. As the rig's getting set up, the very first thing I program, fader 1 on the console, is always going to be my main stage wash. Okay. And then a podium lectern special, that is, of course, for those that do corporate events, lectern versus podium. Lectern special being number 2. Okay. And these, depending on the console, I may set these up in different ways, but I want this to always be active, to be a high enough of a priority that nothing overrides it as long as it is up. So that could be a submaster, it could be a higher priority playback. There's a lot of options there. Okay. Next, I'm going to take one of my buttons. Okay. My buttons, I store onto it a cue that I call the look. Okay. What is the look? The look is kind of my home position for all my moving lights, a home color for all my colors, etc. Okay, it's a little bit of a different way of programming. So what I basically do is, I have this home position for everything. Okay, so if I want to go back to, the movers all on the drape, all on the scenic, whatever, the pars with some intensity and the corporate colors, all of that stuff I store into this cue and I make it active when the console boots. Okay, so every day I come in and I boot it up and this cue becomes active right away, so that depending on the console and how quick it boots, I'm literally, I set that cue up, and consoles used to be really slow at booting. They're better now, but they're still slow. I can flick on the console, go to the coffee station, get some coffee, and by the time I'm back from my coffee, the console's up, it's got that cue, it's ready to rock and roll. If I need to turn lamps on, I can do that at that point. What do you do with the rest of the faders? Okay, so this is pretty simple. I like to put different color combinations that I'm using on the set on my playback buttons. I like to put different gobos on my playback buttons, etc. Okay, I'm not going to make use of this wing in this video, but on the rest of my 10 faders, I'm going to primarily do effects and special stuff. Okay, so that looks like, a blinders, if we have blinders, blinder chase over here, a pan tilt movement maybe kind of on the front in the stage area, a pan tilt movement on the house, and then some different color or intensity effects that I might use. Okay, and that's pretty much it. Corporate events, when it comes down to it, though they can be complex, might be pretty simple. The one place where I do leave space sometimes is in these middle faders. I called these my color effects a minute ago. I may put color effects there, But if I don't have a secondary wing, if I don't have extra faders, then this is kind of my zone for anything special that comes up. If you've done corporate shows, you know that it is these people's, one big event of the year a lot of times, right? Whatever company it is, organization, nonprofit, whoever. And so sometimes there are skits that require special lighting or, portions of the event where there's some sort of special cue that you need to bring up on a fader. And if it's something that you feel like is not going to be well rehearsed, or you're going to need that fader base control, then I like to put that on a fader so I can bring it in, pull it back out when I need to. Okay? Like there was a show recently where there was a snow machine. I had, we were done with the snow machine, and I left the fader there, but I had just told myself don't touch it in case, because I checked with the client and I was like, hey, are we gonna use the snow machine at all for the rest of the show? We had like another session before it ended, and they said no. And I said, well, so I thought about moving the fader, but I was like, I'm just gonna keep it around just in case. And what do you know? I accidentally fired the snow machine at some point, but I had it there. That's the point. Ready to go, because then at the end of the show, instead of when I accidentally did it, the client called for snow. The show was over, people were walking out, and they said, hey, can we have some snow on stage as well? And we were ready with that, okay? So that's what I put on these middle faders. I put that special stuff that, we've got a skit, we've got a special effect, we got whatever here, and I don't mean pyro when I say special effect, but just other stuff that happens here. If it's not like an intensity based, like a wash based special type thing, if it's just a special color combination, put that on your playback buttons. Okay? If you're never going to bring the fader up and down and have that variable control, there's no need to put it on a fader. Put it on a button instead. And then that's about it. Corporate events can be pretty simple. Couple ballyhoos or chases of the lights, wash, podium, etc. The biggest thing and the biggest key is that things like your wash and podium, your front light, stay really consistent through the whole show. And then be ready for anything. There may be times, depending on the presenter, where you might want to have some presets ready, some buttons or whatnot, that light the area in front of the stage. If you have moving lights or something that can do that. House lights, I prefer to have them on a different controller, but they may need to take up a fader, etc. I hope you enjoyed this video and it helps you make better lighting. If that's the case, head over to LearnStageLighting.com, and if you're new, grab my free guide to begin with lighting. And if you're looking to purchase any lighting, please, we would love to help you over at LearnStageLightingGear.com. You can check out the link as well. That's LearnStageLightingGear, Gear. Until next time, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in our next video if you're subscribed. Thanks.